Hi, my name is Jasper and welcome back to the channel. In case you're new here, I'm an entrepreneur and remote marketing consultant, and in this video I want to talk about the opportunity of direct-to-consumer. Direct-to-consumer, or as they are also called, digitally native vertical brands, are brands that are born on the internet and that seize the opportunity that the internet has brought us. Some examples of direct-to-consumer brands are brands like Gymshark, MyProtein, Bellroy, Bonobos, Jasper, and Peloton. Later in this video I'll go over two examples of brands that I've had an experience with before and what I think was great about this experience. These brands can grow really big, and some of the brands that I just named are worth over $1 billion these days and have grown out of a garage or someone's dorm room, which is just insane. This also speaks to the amazing opportunity that these brands are taking advantage of, brought by the internet and e-commerce and also social media to promote these brands and really build a community around these brands as well. Now, a direct-to-consumer brand is basically cutting out any middleman that existed before in the supply chain. Whereas in the past, these brands would need to be created and then find retailers to reach their target audience. Nowadays, this isn't necessary at all. What these brands do is basically eliminate the retailer and also try to eliminate as much as possible from the classic supply chain as well. This brings a lot of advantages, but also some disadvantages. So let's go over those. One of the biggest advantages is that you are in control over the entire customer experience that someone has with your brand. Whereas in the past, if a retailer would give the end consumer a bad experience, this could inevitably be linked to your brand. Now, if you are direct to consumer, this is all on you. Also, because we are cutting out many of the middlemen in the classic supply chain, this makes it possible to have higher margins and be more competitive in the market. Of course, like I said, there's also a disadvantage, and one of them is that you have to build your own audience. You can't rely on the audience or the clientele that, for example, a retail store has already built. If you are tailoring your product to a very niche audience, then direct-to-consumer is basically perfect for you. Whereas a retail store has to have a broader selection of products available to tailor to all of the people coming into their store. For a direct-to-consumer product, most of the times this isn't necessary. Because this brand lives on the internet and people are also buying your products on the internet, it makes it way more easy for you to really tailor to a niche audience. This has one big advantage, and this is that you can also really adapt your product to their specific needs, and your marketing messaging can also be tailored very specifically to a target audience, which makes that your messaging will come across way better than it would have been if you have to target a broader audience. The more specific you can be in marketing, usually the better your marketing will perform. Another big advantage is that you have way more data to improve your product, to build your audience, and to, in the end, build your brand. You will have data from your website, you will have data from your social audiences, you will have specific data from your marketing campaigns, and all of this can really help you to improve your product and to reach even more people within the niche that you selected. This is something that more traditional brands would need to send out people for to survey their customers on the streets basically. So this brings a big opportunity, a big advantage to these direct-to-consumer brands. To create a direct-to-consumer brand, you can basically literally use Google Trends to see if there's a market for your product and if the demand within this market is basically increasing or decreasing. Now, one of the most important points about building a direct-to-consumer brand is that you need an audience. Like I said before, when you're working with retailers, you can basically use their audience, their customers, as your customer base as well. For direct-to-consumer, you don't have this advantage. Now, this also brings the opportunity that you can really build your audience yourself, and one of the better ways to start building an audience for a direct-to-consumer brand is to start off with one specific product. Once you have established your basic audience for your product, you can always later on expand to additional complementary products for the basic product or the first product that you created. For example, a recent Twitter thread that I came across was about a guy that bought a business developing creating dog ramps, and he later on expanded this business with dog food as well to allow him to have repeat customers. I will link this Twitter thread right here. So just remember that building your audience is the most important part about building a direct-to-consumer brand. Once you have your audience, you basically have your test audience as well for future products that you want to develop. If they're in the same niche, all the better, but you will also have this audience to try out new products as well. This is all because you already established trust with these people. Now, I also told you that I would give a couple of examples of direct-to-consumer brands that I've been a customer at in the past. One of them is Bellroy. I bought my first Bellroy product, I think about 10 years ago now. And what really stuck with me is the way that they advertised their products. They were selling mostly wallets at the time. Nowadays they're also selling MacBook covers and like tech kits, basically a whole bunch of things. But then it was mainly just wallets. And they were not just selling a leather wallet. No, they were selling the principle of having a more minimalist wallet. And this is the main reason why I bought into their brand and why I am still a customer of theirs today. And this also shows that you can really expand your product range later on, because they started with wallets and nowadays I have a key fob, I have an AirPod Pro case, I have a MacBook case and I have a tech kit, all from Bellroy. And this is just because I first got to know their brand about 10 years ago. I really like what they are doing. I really like the service that they offer and the quality of their products. And this is the reason why I still buy from them today. Now, the second brand that I have an experience with is called Bonobos. Bonobos basically creates clothes, but you can't buy them in the store. Although they do have a store, for example in New York City, where I had an experience with them. And you walk into the store, you have everything that they sell there, but they all have just one piece of each, so that you can see the different colors and stuff, but they all have it in just one size. Then, for example, they will give you plain colored pants that you can try on just to get the sizing right. You can go into the store to choose the colors that you want, and they will just go with you with an iPad to take your order and send the clothes to you the next day. I thought this was a really interesting experience, also because this was, besides Bellroy, one of the first experiences that I had with a direct-to-consumer brand, and definitely the first one that also owned their own store and offered a different experience than I was used to in traditional retail. Now, that's it for this video. Please tell me which direct-to-consumer brands that you came across recently where you really liked the experience or really loved the product. Was there anything special that they were doing that stood out? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel for weekly new videos each Wednesday, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!